Stability is the most expensive thing you can purchase with your potential. Not because it's wrong to want it, because of what it quietly extracts in exchange for what it delivers. You get the predictable paycheck, the clear structure, the absence of the specific anxiety that comes from not knowing where next month's rent is coming from. And those things are real, they matter, but there's a cost embedded in the transaction that almost nobody reads before they sign. The job that promises safety is often the job that borrows against your future to make your present feel manageable. And the loan comes due slowly, invisibly, in years where you look back and wonder what happened to the person you thought you were going to become. Welcome to the creator's mind. This is the conversation nobody has with you when you're choosing between safe and real. Richter is here to have it. Subscribe before you leave. Here's the fundamental misunderstanding. Stability is not the same as security. Stability is an external condition, a structure that holds its shape. Security is an internal condition, a set of capabilities and self-knowledge that allows you to function when the structure changes. Stable jobs train you to depend on the structure. They don't build the internal condition. And structures always change eventually. Companies downsize, industries shift. The role you built your identity around gets automated, outsourced, or simply made obsolete. When that happens, the person who has been operating inside a stable structure for a decade faces a particular kind of terror. Not just job loss, but the realization that the structure was doing work they didn't know they needed to do for themselves. The first truth nobody talks about. The stable job is optimized for the employer's stability, not yours. The predictability you feel is the predictability the organization needs to function. Your regular hours, your consistent output, your manageable expectations, these serve the system, which means the system is built around extracting consistent performance from you, not around maximizing your development. When growth and extraction are in conflict, the system chooses extraction every time. And you accommodate it because the structure feels like it's protecting you. It's protecting itself. You happen to be inside it. The second truth, the skills that make you secure inside a stable job are often the skills that make you vulnerable outside it. The better you get at the specific processes, the internal systems, the cultural norms of a particular organization, the more your value becomes contextual. You're not building a transferable toolkit. You're deepening your fluency in a single environment. And fluency in a single environment is not the same as capability in the world. When you leave, or when you're made to leave, you find out how much of what you knew was institutional knowledge and how much was actually yours to keep. The third truth, the salary creates an anchor that makes growth feel like sacrifice. Every year you stay, the number goes up slightly, and every year the number goes up, the cost of leaving goes up with it. You're not just leaving a job, you're leaving a number that would require starting over in a new environment, potentially at a lower figure, before building back up. The anchor is real. The trap is that the anchor is denominated in money, while the actual cost is in time and potential, which are harder to put a number on, which means they routinely lose the comparison. The fourth truth, the psychological contract of a stable job subtly trains you out of taking initiative, because stable environments reward consistency over innovation and clarity over ambiguity. The person who does their job well, predictably, and without creating waves is the person the system accommodates most comfortably. Questioning, experimenting, proposing changes, these are tolerated, sometimes encouraged, but rarely structurally rewarded. And you calibrate your behavior to the reward structure. Slowly, without deciding to, you become someone who waits for direction rather than generating it. And that behavioral pattern is invisible until you're in a context where self-direction is the only option. The creator's mind is not arguing that stable jobs are wrong. It's showing you the hidden terms in the contract, the ones printed in ink you can only read years later. The fifth truth: the social validation of the stable job makes it almost impossible to evaluate honestly. The parents approve, the partner feels relieved, the friends understand what you do. The question, "What do you do?" finally has an answer that doesn't require a long explanation. And that social legibility feels like confirmation, like proof that you made the right call. But legibility is not fulfillment. Being understood is not the same as being aligned. And the social approval of a stable job can sustain a fundamentally misaligned life for decades before the misalignment becomes too loud to explain away. The sixth truth: the stable job selects for patience over urgency. And urgency, the felt sense that time is moving and that the gap between where you are and where you want to be is closing, is one of the most important motivational fuels available. In a stable environment, urgency is systematically suppressed. There's always next quarter, next cycle, next year. The horizon is always managed. And without urgency, the internal drive that should be pushing you towards growth operates at a fraction of its capacity. You become patient in the way that people become patient when they're waiting for something that isn't coming. The seventh truth: the identity built around a stable job is one of the most fragile constructions possible because it depends entirely on external conditions that you do not control. The company's financial health, the industry's trajectory, the preferences of the leadership above you, the stability of the job market in your sector. All of it is outside you. And when any of it shifts, when the restructuring happens, when the industry contracts, when the manager who believed in you leaves, the identity built around it has no internal structure to fall back on. You're left holding the shape of something that no longer exists. The eighth truth, the one that takes the longest to understand: the version of security you are actually seeking was never available in an external structure to begin with. What you wanted was the feeling of safety, the feeling of knowing you are going to be okay. That feeling doesn't come from a salary or a job title or a contract. It comes from trusting yourself, your ability to navigate uncertainty, to adapt, to create value in the world independently of any particular container. No organization can give you that. Only the repeated experience of operating without a net and surviving can. And the stable job, by removing the net, also removes the opportunity to discover that you can live without it. The most dangerous thing about a stable job is not the job, it's what you stop developing while you're inside it. Press like if something here reframed something real for you. Subscribe to The Creator's Mind. The next video is already on your screen. Richter will be there.